Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Melbourne's Shrine of Remembrance. Thank you very much for those who have come here today, and thank you to those who are listening and following online. Today we will conduct a very short commemoration. Here at the Shrine we embrace the diversity of our community and we acknowledge the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation as the traditional custodians of the land on which we commemorate the service and sacrifice of Australian Defence personnel. We pay our respects to elders past and present. My name is Dr. Steve Campbell-Wright and I am one of the governors of the Shrine of Remembrance. And today's commemoration is held in conjunction with the Sembawang Association. By way of background and the reason why we are gathered here today at the Shrine is that the Sembawang Association was formed after the Second World War by surviving members of RAAF headquarters Sembawang and numbers 1, 8, 21 and 453 squadrons, Royal Australian Air Force. The commemoration remembers those who served in the Royal Australian Air Force, the Royal Air Force and the Allied Air Forces of Malaya, Singapore, Sumatra and Java, the locations that those two air forces fought in between 1940 and 1942. Our commemoration today remembers those stationed at RAAF Sembawang and with the RAAF Far East Command. The commemoration takes place close to the anniversary of the first defence of Malaya by an RAAF squadron on the 8th of December 1941, and this year marks the 82nd anniversary of that action. The RAF base at Sembawang formed part of the Singapore strategy and was located on the northeast of Singapore Island. It was already a British base when the Australian squadrons that served with the RAF Far East Command arrived. Numbers 1, 8, 21 and 453 squadron each operated 12 aircraft with 6 in reserve. Those stationed at Sembawang were caught by surprise as the Japanese Navy steamed towards Malaya in an armada of ships carrying 5,000 troops in early December 1941. On 8 December, in the 2 a.m. scramble to intercept and bomb the approaching Navy forces, and with minimal briefing, the bombing crews were told to look for the flashes and bangs to find the ships. Some, such as Flying Officer Peter Gibbs, flew missions on the first night of their arrival at RAF Sembawang. Many of the crews had never previously flown together. Number 1 Squadron was the first Allied squadron to go into action during the war in the Pacific, just 1 hour before Pearl Harbor was attacked, in fact. The RAAF became the first Australian service to see action in the Pacific. Equipped with Lockheed Mustang reconnaissance bombers, the squadron aircraft shadowed the Japanese invasion convoy bound for Malaya and were fired at on 6th of December 1941. Number 1 Squadron was joined by numbers 2, 21 and 453 squadrons with Brewster Buffalo fighters and Wirraway trainers. The squadrons participated in the unsuccessful attempts to defeat the Japanese landings. RAAF aircraft attacked the beachheads as the Australian warship Vampire accompanied the British battleships Prince of Wales and Repulse during their failed attempt to attack the Japanese invasion fleet. A number 1 Squadron aircraft scored a direct hit on the 9,800-tonne transport Awagassian Nauru, the first Japanese merchant ship to sink in the Pacific War. A Hudson bomber, piloted by Flight Lieutenant John Jones, took off at 2:20 a.m. on the 8th of December and was lost only minutes afterwards. Jones and his crew on board the aircraft, numbered A16 number 94, were Ron Siggins, Graham Hedges and David Walters. They were the first Australians to die in the Pacific War. The base at Sembawang did not last long against the Japanese invasion and was abandoned within days. Surviving aircraft then operated from bases in Sumatra and Java until all flyable aircraft were lost. Many aircrew and ground staff were killed in action, and others died from the harsh conditions suffered as prisoners after the surrender in Java. Number 8 Squadron lost 79 men, Number 21 Squadron lost 42 men, Number 453 Squadron lost 29 men, and Number 1 Squadron had 160 taken as prisoner of war, of whom fewer than half survived. More than 200 did not return. One historian described the action as a valiant catastrophe. Today, we remember the service and sacrifice of those members of the RAAF who died in Malaya, Singapore, Sumatra and Java between 1940 and 1942. We remember those who died in action and in Japanese prison and labour camps. We also remember those who have since succumbed to the ravages of age and war-related disabilities. May we prove worthy of their sacrifice. To move to the formal part of the ceremony now, I will now call forward the guard. We will lay a wreath. We will then have the sounding of last post, followed by 1 minute silence of remembrance, and that silence will then be broken by the reveille. We will then conclude with the national anthem. Guard, take post. I invite to lay the wreath the Vice President of the RSL in Victoria, the senior member of the RSL in Victoria, Ange. I will now recite the Ode of Remembrance, and I ask, if you are able, would you please stand and remain standing through the Ode, the silence, and through to the singing of the national anthem. Thank you. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. lest we forget.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts, all beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains that let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. That concludes this morning's commemoration. I thank you very much for your participation here in the Shrine of Remembrance and also for watching online. You may now, if you wish, come forward and pay your own floral tribute by placing a poppy in the urn beside and glance down at the Stone of Remembrance. Please also stay around after the guard is dismissed. He may have time to come back in and you might be able to get your photo taken as well. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Shrine Guard, dismiss.